Hi guys, Santa Lee from Scented Pansy. Sorry I am a little late with this week's video. I actually had strep. So if you've ever had that before, you know it's not a lot of fun. Now I felt pretty good, but I just did not have the awesomest extended talking voice. But now I'm back with a vengeance. So this week's question actually comes from Smitten Kitten. You can find her on Scented Pansy. She's a very cool girl. She wanted to know about my shipping methods for my panties, how I keep them fresh, and if I ship items wet. And the answer to that question is yes. My goal really is to try and ship the items wet, to have them feel as though they came directly off of my body and got right to the customer as fast as possible. Sometimes, because I do ship internationally, fast really isn't going to be an option. So my shipping method really has to be tested and proven to withstand a long duration. So I'm going to show you how I do this, how I accomplish my goal of the freshest product possible. And I hope it helps you guys, new sellers and old sellers. Remember, there's like no strict guidelines on how you have to do this though. So you can feel free to change and alter it however you need to suit your lifestyle. So the first thing I'm going to do is really just show you everything that I use to ship. Obviously you need the panty. I use plastic wrap. I have a vacuum sealer with vacuum sealer bags. Scissors comes in very handy. Some tissue paper for wrapping the final product. I also have my shipping envelope and some tape, because at the very end of the process you need to tape over this. Okay? Makes the post office really happy. Now the first step that you're going to do, or I do rather, is to wrap my gusset, which is this part of the panty right here, otherwise known as the crotch, in plastic wrap. Now the reason that I wrap this in plastic wrap is to actually help keep that moisture on the gusset versus getting sucked through the entire panty when it gets put into the vacuum sealer bag. Okay? Because the vacuum sealer bag is going to draw the air out of the vacuum sealer bag and pull that moisture through the entire panty. This way, we can keep it pretty much locked into the gusset. This is what my wrapped gusset looks like. I try to get the ends as tight as possible, again with the goal of trying to keep all of that moisture sealed into the gusset versus the entire panty. So I make sure to give it a really good twist at the end. Now, one tip that I can tell you that some girls do is before they wrap the gusset, they actually dip the plastic wrap in their juice on the inside, around the fingers, okay? And then they take that moisture side and they lay that side onto the gusset of the panty. Now, you don't have to take that extra step, but it is an option to get a little bit extra of your moisture on that panty. Then you're going to take your panty with the wrapped gusset and fold it up really nice and slide it into your vacuum sealer bag that you've sealed one end of. You want to have one side of your gusset laying flat against the vacuum sealer bag, again with the goal of keeping as much moisture on the gusset as possible and not folding it up all willy-nilly and getting that moisture on the rest of the panty. Okay? Then you're going to put this vacuum sealer bag into the vacuum sealer machine with the bag itself folded slightly into the channel. You then close the vacuum sealer until you make sure you hear a click, and then you're going to press vacuum and seal. Now I'm not going to do that because it's kind of a waste of a vacuum sealer bag, but I will show you the rest of the process. Now, a note about vacuum sealers. I know it seems like an expensive investment if you're just selling panties, but the reality of the situation is you're going to hold in so much more scent and so much more moisture using a food saver machine than you would using regular Ziploc baggies. Now, Ziploc bags are fine if you are only shipping domestically and your customer is okay with that, but if you are using Ziploc as your method, make sure that your customer is aware and isn't expecting food sealed bags. Now, the cheapest way to get these is to actually go to your local St. Vincent de Paul, Goodwill, or resale shop. Because this is one of those items that a lot of times people buy with the intention of using and saving all their food, but then realize that they're not as committed to it as they thought they were. Where does it go? Gets donated, along with the bags. So before you make any big purchases, just check and see if you can find one at your local thrift store. Then the next step would be, I would take my package and lay it on the tissue paper, wrap it up really nice. A lot of times I like to include a thank you card or a postcard. I feel it's really important to show our customers how much we appreciate them and the fact that they chose to buy from us. Once you're done with that, you slide it into your shipping envelope. I'm gonna make sure that you write the address on there nice and clear with some return address. Now you can use a dummy address, one that doesn't go directly to your house. You may have a post office box. You have to do whatever you feel comfortable with. I would just make it explicitly clear that you don't really do returns unless it's something that is discussed between you and the customer prior. And then, like I said, you tape across here. And remember, for any international shipping, you are going to have to fill out a customs declaration form. To keep it as discreet as possible, I usually just write cloth and photo or postcard on the customs declaration. I don't say underpants. All right, guys, that was the quick and easy tutorial on how to ship your panties. I hope this helps.